So here's our review cycle as of now. So last year it was math and PE. We're kind of also doing, along with reading, we're doing the science because of the implementation of the lab and everything. So we're sort of doing more like science and reading right now. The reading one, we're just barely kicking off. It's starting next week that we're going to speak to the faculty at the faculty meeting and kind of discuss what they're going to need to get together and what information they need to bring and give to the committee so we can start digging in and hashing it out. So it's a lot of information. It takes a lot. The review and research aspect of it is a lot, and it's pretty intensive. And so here it is. Those are the things that we look for. So is it aligned? And what I mean by that is it aligned working from the 3 to 14? Is it aligned perfectly and going? So is it reviewing skills? Is it building and reviewing? Building and reviewing. So we have a cohesive program that works together. Obviously, is it rigorous and relevant? So say, for example, all the skills and things are there, but maybe the stories and things need to be modernized and updated or whatever. And those were things that we have to really look at. Maybe it's time we switch out, we get a couple of new different types of literature books, or we might update. For the lower school, they might need to get a new phonics / open court program as a base reader. So those are things that we'll look at. Of course, are there high expectations for everybody? Does it allow for dynamic, interesting, modern teaching? What about assessment strategies? Do we have clear assessment strategies? Are there multiple types of assessment strategies? Are they being implemented all throughout all the grade levels consistently? And then what kind of professional learning and development is being done? So these are the things that we're going to be looking for. And then, of course, I already talked sort of about subject area vertical alignment. And so that is sort of, we'll take a skill set, we will graph it out, and then we'll go through and we'll get the information. Okay, are they doing inferences? How are they doing inferences from 3 up to 14? And we track all that. How are they doing, the next whatever it is? How are they studying literature analysis? When do they start that? How are they doing that? Are we doing enough of it? That kind of thing. And then, of course, back again to, are we all of that also? And so that's the part that we're still figuring out exactly, as you asked, exactly how we're going to be doing that and checking for all of that. Okay, so the 21st, this is a super basic one, but if you want to look up, there's anywhere online, just put it 21st century learning skills. So here are the key components that all major quality programs have. Okay, that you have critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, and all of those skills help for college and career readiness. Within that is like media literacy as well, using technology and stuff. So these are like the big kind of overarching umbrella that all of everything needs to fall under. We need to see this in all throughout math and science and reading. Those are the big kind of topic ideas, okay? Okay, so the Common Core standards, and so this is Common Core. So this is a new name for kind of a modernized, updated state content standards. Okay, so what this means is they have made and redefined sort of K-12 English language arts and math standards. So what it does is take 21st century content standards for the subject and they blended them together. That's what Common Core is, okay? Some of our, for example, our CPM math program is perfectly all aligned, perfectly Common Core. It's a new program, it's a newer program, the way it's written. So there's some programs that we already have implemented. All of Vicky's whole program is obviously Common Core, connected and perfectly aligned in that way. So every time we review something, especially when it comes to math and English language arts reading, we need to make sure that all of that's being addressed in a high-level way and consistently. Okay, so here's, I don't know if you can see this, but so this is, for example, this is sort of how it plays out. So you have your standards here. You have history, social studies, science, technical subjects for K to 5. You have your English language arts. You then have your social studies, science, technical subjects. But all of them throughout, they all need to have, there's 10 basic anchor standards that never change for all the grades. That's reading, writing, speaking, listening, and language. Okay, so if you look those up, you can read specifically what those are. And so that's our job, to make sure, know all those, I graph it out, I grid it out, print them out. Okay, so what are we doing in pre-K? What are we doing in K that works? You know, and then basically we look for holes. What are we not doing? So this for reading, okay, where are our holes? Where are we not doing something well? Where are we not maybe doing it consistently? So sort of on, if you can imagine, that's how I'm going to put it out on a big, I think I'm going to have a big like wall size thing that's going to kind of graph it out and give us a visual on where do we need to improve. Okay, and then so here are some of the things that we're already doing in terms of trying to build, you know, cultural and cultural awareness, global studies, sort of inclusion, addressing stereotyping and discrimination. So we do a lot. These were just what we're doing right now. We have the teachers just fill out a survey thing and give us comments, and we graph them up. And so I'll send this out to you, but we use a lot of all of that. This is all in place right now. And I'll give there's another one here. So we're basically trying to teach children, especially in middle school, to be critical thinkers, to be smart about the media that you consume, that there's so much out there that you have to look with a critical lens, but also be open. So it's like a double-edged sword. You want to be open, but you also want to be critical and thoughtful, and really, where are you getting this information? Whose perspective is it? Do they have a motivation behind why they're giving you this information? What's that? And then looking and being able to speak and defend their points using from multiple sources. Current events, especially in the middle school, I really start current events. We're starting it right now in 7th grade, where I have a whole current event cycle where I have the children they have one current event per month, a little presentation and paper that they write, and they do it all year to ready themselves for Mr. Prestiani's class, where a lot of his cultural studies for a United States cultural studies program it's anchored in current, but they bring in the past. Okay, so look at the past Civil War. How's that affecting all of us now? What's happened? So it's constantly back, forth, back, forth. So with the 7th graders, just because of brain development and everything, I need to be very aware and let them start digging into the news in a responsible manner, so they can start understanding news. What sources are they using? Why are they using that source? Do they even understand what's being said? And they're able then to present it to their peers, and then they have to make opinion statements about it. Do they agree with this? Why or why not? And so I start that, and so that's a huge way that we address a lot of those topics. And then there's even more. So all this, again, I'll post up so you guys. Mr. Prestiani also just updated his curriculum and started the year with 8th grade. He's doing a whole lesson and a whole unit on bias. Period. Just it was I was really, really proud of the kids. It was interesting. I think it was Harvard professor put out a kind of quiz online, and it's about checking your biases and things, and they give you these scenarios, and you have to pick how you'd react in different things. And so you go through, and then it gives them. And the kids knew they were being tested, right? But they had no idea the makeup of it. And so most of the kids at our school, which in that class, has very little or no bias in that particular kind of test, which was very interesting. So they had to think about, it was like, it had to do with racial, how they perceive people of other races, other, social status, all kinds of different things. It's very, very interesting. They also reviewed and talked about the Charlottesville incidents there with the neo-Nazis and all that. They do real stuff, and but we have to work them up to that point. From our little guys, we have to do the basics so they're able to handle that stuff in a responsible way.